Welcome back to the Rugby Booth. Yes, back again for another tier list Thursday. This time a very short list. Maybe a long time because I don't know what I'm saying. Short list. 5 total things on this list. And what we're doing is ranking Lions tours from best to worst. So 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. Now you say, oh, there's more than 5. Yes, I've only been alive since 1994. So my first Lions tour I can vividly remember is the 2005 New Zealand one. So we're starting there. I can't rank the 2001 Australian one because, to be fair, it was an Australian one and 7-year-old me didn't really care for the Australian Lions tour probably. But 2005 with 11-year-old me definitely cared. So we're going to rank them out of those 5. So 2005 New Zealand, 2009 South Africa, 2013 Australia, 2017 New Zealand, 2019 South Africa. We shall rank them where I think that they fall. First up in the list is 2019 South Africa. Now, unfortunately, I think that this series was actually overshadowed because it was in 2021 during COVID, at that COVID time. So the series actually got overshadowed. Now, South Africa lost the first game of this, and it should have been one of the better ones because we're off the back of a 2019 South African World Cup win, just like the 2017 one was from New Zealand when you've got the Rugby World Cup champions versus, the British and Irish Lions. The build-up was really good for it, but then COVID struck and it kind of chucked everything into doubt. It's the only reason it goes into 5 because the series was actually a very good series against very strategic and well-trained and coached teams. And the South Africans at that point were on their journey to greatness as they went to go back-to-back World Cups. So I went, as disappointing it is to put in 5, I just think only purely because what happened during COVID and how that all took place, that's where we're at 5. Next we have 2005, which to me is going to go second. British and Irish Lions lost this 3-0. Vividly remember, everyone remembers the spear tackle that Tana Umang and Kevin Mialamu did on O'Driscoll, as I've got in the image there. It's one of those ones that'll be long talked about for a long time. Still, I think in 20 years' time we'll talk about that. Because it also featured in this series Dan Carter's incredible game where he scored 33 points or whatever he did. He just played arguably the greatest game of rugby one player could have. Dan Carter performed on one of the biggest stages in the world. So those 2 talking points, not to talk about the series as well, on top of that, which was some very, very good games, it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense that it is up there. I've got it at 2 and I'll tell you why. In freehold, I have got the Australian series from 2013. And the reason I have this is that the series was just incredible. So the first game in Brisbane, the British and Irish Lions won by 2 points, 23-21. The second game in Melbourne, Australia won 16-15, setting up a decider, which the British and Ireland went there and in Sydney spanked the Aussies 41-16. And to me, it's a perfect series, a bit of that really close, and then the better team in the end won. Now, this was probably the start of Australia's downfall, but again, 2011 Rugby World Cup, they had made a semi-final, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it wasn't, Australia weren't in the worst position ever, but they weren't in a great position, and it just revitalised, I think, a little bit of the Australian rugby community, the Australian rugby culture, a bit of that, and to me it falls. It wasn't as good as the New Zealand one in 2005, but it was a very good series. And so we've got 1 and 4 left in our list. And 4, I'm going to put the South Africa 2009 series. Now, again, I love the fact that they're coming off a 2007 Rugby World Cup win. You're playing the best team in the world. But South Africa wrapped this game up in the first 2 games. And I know they were close games, 26-21 and 28-25. And then British Irish won the last game. And so it's kind of just a bit more of a disappointment than anything. Now, I can guarantee you're seeing this and you're probably going, this is a New Zealand point of view, which it is. And again, it's hard for me to take my bias out of this and say that those New Zealand series weren't fantastic because what I have in the number 1 spot is the 1-1-1. So 1 win, 1 tie, 1 loss for both teams. The storylines in this series were throughout. I mean, Warren Gatland, New Zealander, coaching the British and Irish Lions in New Zealand. First game, New Zealand beats the British and Irish Lions by 15 points pretty comfortably. Are looking good. They're off the back to 2017, so they're off the back of a 2015 back-to-back Rugby World Cup. Peak of, rugby in New Zealand. We're winning games. We're embarrassing the Aussies at Super Rugby. Then a shock. British and Irish Lions win the second game of the series, 24-21 in Wellington, before a draw in Eden Park to seal the series. Now, the only thing that could have made this series better was if we didn't just call it a draw, unlike what Morgan Turanui wants, which is not golden points or something like that. If we didn't call it a draw and we went, let's go for an extra time period. I would rate an extra time period, 15 minutes, and just go see who comes away as the winner and take that series, instead of what we see here with Sam Warburton and Kieran Reid holding the trophy aloft together. So, yeah, I guess that's my rankings. It's probably a bit of a New Zealand bias. It'll be really interesting to see. And again, I know I'm young enough that I don't remember them all, but where the next series ranks again with the likelihood that Andy Farrell is going to be coached, the Irish dominance over the last few years, what team gets selected, the Aussie potential resurgent. That's a storyline already in that one. There's two former Irish coaches potentially coaching either team. How that gets on, where we end up putting that one. I know I've probably been a little bit harsh on the South African one. I think bar COVID, the number 5 spot probably jumps up a bit. I think that was such a fantastic series. And the size of the two packs that played in that series, just so many storylines I think could have been a really cool series, but because of COVID affected that one. And then in 2009, I think just the way the series went, the team in 2009, Ian McEachin, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, as the head coach, just didn't live up to the expectations, and I think that's why that sits there. But yeah, I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts on where you rank each series from 2005 up into 2021 of the British and Irish Lions series, and where you think this next one may pop up or end up in the list. I've been Luke from the Rugby Booth. If you like these videos, please make sure to like and subscribe for more. For now, I will see you later. Goodbye.